The US economy and investment opportunities are in a really weird spot right now because there is so much that's kind of on the verge of happening that it's really hard to decipher where you should put your money and what investments are the best ones to pursue right now. With everybody eagerly anticipating a vaccine, with an election coming up before we know it, with the fourth quarter coming up in a few weeks, there are so many things that are coming up that will drastically affect the stock market, the economy, and investment opportunities as a whole. With that being said, today I want to talk about where you could potentially put your money going into 2021 and where I plan to put my money going forward in order to have the largest return as possible. So let's get started. Now, right now is a tough time to talk about investing because I don't think that it's an ideal time to invest in the stock market. I also don't think it's an ideal time to invest in real estate, and it's also not an ideal time to save because of the fact that interest rates are so low. So if all three of these options aren't great options to park your money, then what the heck should you do with your money? And I think that there are a few viable options that you can look towards. Number one is the stock market. You know, I have talked about it a lot on this channel, is my thoughts on the market and what I've been doing over the last few months with the stock market. At the beginning of 2020, my investment strategy was to put as much money in Turo as possible. So pretty much every spare dollar I had went to buying a new car, to expanding my fleet, and to improving my Turo operations. But once COVID hit, Turo really hit a wall. And because of that, I shifted my focus from Turo into the stock market. And for about 4 or 5 months, I put as much money as I could into the market. But in July, I kind of stopped doing this, really in July and August. And the reason is because there are just so many things that are up in the air right now that I don't feel comfortable putting more money into the market. I'm not actively selling any of my positions, but I'm also not actively adding positions either. I feel like with the election quickly approaching, with Q4 quickly approaching, and with the pandemic going on and a vaccine on the verge of hopefully being founded, I just think that there are so many things that are happening in the market that I simply cannot predict. I don't feel entirely comfortable putting more money than I've already put into the market. With that being said, I do think that there are some opportunities to be had in the stock market. I just don't think I'm smart enough to find those. Alternatively to the stock market is real estate investing, and this is what I have my eyes on in 2021. With interest rates at an all-time low, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense storing your money in a savings account, and it does make sense to make some big investments like a rental property. But the problem is that even now, going into the Q4 of 2020, real estate prices are still highly inflated. And I know that this is something that vastly depends on what market you're in, but here in Dallas, real estate prices are absolutely insane. The housing market is crazy, houses are insanely expensive, and it's really hard to find anything here that's under $300,000 or $400,000, at least a property worth investing in. And so because of that, and because of the high home prices, it's been tough to justify getting into real estate here in the Dallas market. But I do think that as the pandemic carries on and as the effects of the pandemic carry on, that there will be some sort of housing crisis. I don't know if the housing crisis would be as bad as it was in 2008. In fact, I highly doubt that it will even compare to that. But I do think that there will be a decrease in home value going forward. And I think it will be interesting to see how the home prices here in Dallas and in other high-priced markets are affected by that. Because of that, if and when the housing market takes place, I am currently storing cash. I'm currently saving up money so that when the market does crash, I am able to take advantage of that opportunity. Alternatively is looking at markets that aren't quite as inflated. For example, I am looking at buying an out-of-state rental property that I will then convert to an Airbnb. And this is something that is a viable option for people who have the means to do it. For me, I can go into a lower income market where houses aren't quite as inflated yet. I could buy a $200,000 home, rent it on Airbnb, keep the house for 10 or 20 years, and then sell it for a huge profit. And that's kind of what I'm looking at doing short term. I think that there are opportunities to be had in real estate, but it really vastly depends on how much money you have to invest in the market that you're in. For me right now, it doesn't make sense for me to buy an investment property in Dallas, Texas in September of 2020 because if there is a market crash, the housing prices will inevitably go down. But it could make sense for me to go into a lower value home area, an area where I could get a good value on a house, invest in that property, and then store my cash and invest in a property in Dallas once the time comes. So as far as rental properties go, I would encourage you guys to learn about your market and to figure out where there is an opportunity to be had in your state or in your city or even in an out-of-state area. And if you can store cash and if you can save up money so that once an opportunity comes along, you can then jump on it ASAP. Like Warren Buffett says, be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful. For me, I am storing cash. I'm saving up money. That way, whenever a market crash happens, whenever there is a drastic effect to the housing market and the housing prices, I can then jump on those opportunities ASAP. In addition to real estate, there is a real opportunity to open up a business right now and to really succeed in that business. This is something that I've talked about a lot with a lot of people in the franchising and restaurant industry specifically. But in the United States, we had such a good economy for so long. And because of that, there was a lot of businesses that were kind of being falsely inflated. The economy was allowing businesses to stay open that really had no business being open. And as a result, whenever COVID-19 happened, a lot of businesses closed. And yeah, a lot of businesses closed because of COVID and because of the aftermath of COVID, which is incredibly unfortunate. But the reality is, and I think the reality that a lot of people don't talk about, is that there is a good portion of businesses that closed that needed to close. They needed to close because they are either getting close to closing anyways, they didn't have a good product, they didn't have a good customer base, or they were simply in an oversaturated market. For example, the burger industry. In Dallas, Texas, and in markets all over the United States, you are seeing burger chains close like crazy. In Dallas, if you guys are familiar with brands like Twisted Roots or Mooyah Burger, these are all brands that are closing right now, and it's because of the oversaturation of burger concepts. This is happening on a large scale all over the brick and mortar industry, and this is where now the market has started to thin itself out, and now new entrepreneurs and new business owners can come in and open their own businesses. With interest rates at an all-time low, with real estate availability at an all-time high, and thus your ability to negotiate is also at an all-time high, and with the market being thinner than ever, there is a lot of opportunity to come in and to start a business and to do very well doing it. Of course, this would depend on what industry you're in and what your business plan is and what your business idea is, but I think that right now in 2020, we are positioning ourselves to be in a really great position to have entrepreneurs come in and really flourish in this new environment. I think that right now people read the news and they see all of the closures and they see all of the fear that so many Americans feel, and I think that all of those feelings are valid. But I think that what too many people are kind of sleeping on is the opportunity that is to be had by the current market conditions. There is a lot of opportunity to be had in the market once there's a correction. There's a lot of opportunity to be had in real estate. There is a lot of opportunity to be had in just creating your own business, specifically in the brick and mortar space. I think that right now, going into 2021, one of the best things that you can do with your money is to pay off any debts that you have and to really store your cash. That way, once an opportunity presents itself, you can jump on that. And whether that be a stock market investment, whether that be starting a business, whether that be buying a rental property or an investment property, that is what I am doing right now in September of 2020. I'm holding my current investments, I'm keeping my cost of living as low as possible, and I am storing as much money as possible. That way, once an opportunity presents itself, whether it's in the form of a rental property, a commercial property, stock investments, whatever the case is, I can then jump on it when the time comes. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people that disagree with me, but for me personally, I think that this is the best strategy going forward because there is just simply too much uncertainty going into the end of the year and into 2021 that I don't want to take unnecessary risks that I have no control over. And I would rather store my money and then pounce on an opportunity when it comes. So with that being said, you guys, I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear what you guys plan for your money going forward and what your thoughts are for 2021. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.